You guys remember the controversy with the Mass Effect board game where apparently they were trying to introduce the holy pronouns they, them to the Asari. And when gamers were complaining and they started giving negative reviews, one of the developers went on crying, saying that he's under attack by the Chads. And all of a sudden, you have reviews that are 10 out of 10, and they're being spammed over there. The reviews that are 1 out of 10 are being removed, and the ones that are 10 out of 10 are being left. Which is very interesting, because, like, what is the purpose of a review then? If you make political decisions surrounding your game, but you do not want people to judge you based on those political decisions. You know, like, this is the hypocrisy of a lot of game companies right now. You can have, like, a coder that works there, and they're probably, like, the best coder in existence, but if they don't align ideologically with the company policy, they don't care about the code at all. They just care about the ideology, and they fire the guy. But when they push out a product, if people judge the product based on the ideology, they get upset. You're supposed to judge the product based on merit. So they don't do the same with their employees, right? Like, with the employees, they judge based on ideology rather than merit. But with the product, you're supposed to do the opposite. I really hate this hypocrisy. But anyway, it turns out that the plot thickens. You have the Czech publisher, Asmodee Blackfire, and they say that they are going to pull the cringe pronouns from the Mass Effect board game, and they will argue with the US publisher if they refuse. Everyone likes it in the comments. Huge positive response. And as you can see, he posts here, we find it completely unnecessary to mention it, so there won't be any pronouns on the Czech version of the character cards. I don't even know the Czech language, but Americans fail to understand that the rest of the world does not align with your political beliefs, and it sounds really fucking cringe, and you're butchering our language when you try to push they, them. Now, here's the interesting thing. Like, why do they put the pronouns, right? Did you ever wonder that? Because, yeah, you get, like, heels versus babyface making a rant, and Nexus Mods is insisting that the pronouns are actually important, because if you try to remove them from games, they ban the mod. Despite the fact that so many woke activists on Twitter are wasting a lot of energy and they're getting tired by saying that the pronouns aren't important. They don't matter. But they don't waste that energy to lecture Nexus Mods when they remove them. This whole shit with the pronouns, it serves two purposes. It serves to identify woke activists towards each other, and it also serves to accomplish gender abolition in a very subversive way. Woke activists, they identify by using pronouns. It's kind of like how Christians identify by having crucifixes. So if you wear a crucifix around your neck, chances are you're a Christian, right? So, like, when you're walking on the street and you see other Christians, it shows that, hey, you know, like, there's Christians here. So this is one of the reasons they have pronouns. They used to have mental illnesses before pronouns. I don't know how many people are remembering this. And no, I'm not joking. Like, this was on Tumblr. And in the early days of Twitter, you would see, like, social justice druid, ADHD, autism, PTSD. You know, like, they would have, like, a list of just mental illnesses. And they were very protective of their mental illnesses. Like, if you ask them, hey, did you get a doctor to diagnose you with autism? And they'll be like, no, I know my body better than a doctor, right? So this was before the pronouns. Like, the pronouns come after. And there's no scientific literature that says you have to use pronouns, but they consider it part of inclusivity. So the whole idea with the pronouns is to identify yourself as a woke person and to target non-woke people. Gina Carano, for instance, was actually targeted at Disney for not using pronouns. That's what pissed them off. Because she said that everyone involved with the Mandalorian production had to use pronouns. And she didn't want to, but they pressured her, so eventually they used beep boop or something like that. Really pissed them off, right? Because, again, it's kind of like, imagine going into a place of business and they say, this place of business is Christian, so you gotta wear a crucifix. And you come up with a swastika or some shit. You know, like, it pisses them off. Or an upside down cross, heaven forbid. So that is the main reason why they use pronouns, is to identify each other as being woke. The second one is the gender abolition thing. Like, they really try to push the idea that, trans women is women. But they don't want you to just say it. They want you to believe it. They want you to internalize it. So the way they do it, and this is in the academic papers, this is what they talk about at GDC, is to push it in every single video game. Like every single female character that they push has to look masculinized. Like they have to take away the femininity so that like you constantly get to see women that look like men in wigs in entertainment, and you constantly get to see pronouns to the point where it becomes normalized. And as I mentioned in previous videos, it actually works. Like this is something that's a really effective psyop, because when the pronouns first came out, it was during Games Done Quick event, a tournament, and everyone was laughing and they were making fun of the moderators that actually had like pronouns in front of them. And they had to start banning people, give the chat disabilities. It was a shit show. But 2 years later, every single game starts doing it, and Heels versus Babyface goes on a rant, and people that were laughing at the original ones with the pronouns were now laughing at Heels versus Babyface, like showing that they have become so normalized and so in your face that when someone pushes back, they're the ones that look ridiculous, right? So this is why they're doing it, and the reason people hate it is that it's subversive. Like, we know what they're trying to do. People do not agree with the concept of gender abolitionist. In fact, most people believe that femininity is a beautiful thing. People do not agree with woke ideology, and they do not see why they should support it. So the pronouns themselves aren't the issue. Like, they're not the problem. The problem, they're just part of the aesthetic, if you will. It's kind of like, a skinhead. It's not the problem that the person is bald. Like, obviously, you can talk with people that are bald, but the aesthetic tells you about the ideology. Like, it tells you the type of person that they are. So you're like, well, I'm sorry, but I just don't want to see skinheads in my video game. I don't want to see skinheads in every single entertainment that I have. And their answer is like, oh, you're so fragile, you can't handle seeing a bald man. It's like, no, that's not the problem, right? Like, the problem is the ideology. It's like, what's under the hood? That's what people don't like, and they don't understand why they should support it with their own money. And on top of that is the shady tactics. Like, you go around crying about getting review bombed, but when you're getting 10 out of 10 reviews, you're fine with those. You're fine with those, but you're not fine with the 1 out of 10s. You should either be fine with both or fine with neither, but, well, I guess it is what it is. So, another interesting thing is that developers are now speaking out about this, and publishers are speaking out, and I think it does have to do with Trump winning. The victory for Donald Trump was colossal, and what it does is it shows that these individuals are now a minority. Like, up until now, woke individuals behaved like they are the majority of people, that they are the ones dominating every single space, and people that don't think like them are a fringe vocal minority. It turns out that the shoe is on the other foot, and actually there's a lot more people that are against woke ideology, like vehemently anti-woke, not just non-woke, no, like anti-woke, to the point where they go and they start buying products that woke people hate. They start supporting products that woke people hate, and they actually move away from stuff that woke people like. For instance, a lot of people are upset with Sony's censorship and Sony's way of doing business, and the fact that they're in California and they're now adopting the Californian culture, to the point where people flat out refuse to even make a PlayStation Network account if it's free. And a game like Helldivers 2, which was a very popular game and people loved, it ended up losing a lot of those players simply because it decided to start a PlayStation Network account in order to moderate better based on woke ideology and stuff that players don't agree with. And I guess like the main problem is that wokeness is also anti-fun. You know, they don't like banter, they don't like anything that's shock value, shock humor. They hate those things, and people hate them in return. Let me know what you guys think though, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.